Hi, everyone. I am Donna Reed, and this is Donna Reed Talks Voice. And this is a discussion with the people who did the last three lessons in the series. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
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 With the fabulous Nellie Beavers running the show as always. Nellie, you have the something to start with?
Yeah, I do. It's this happened in all three lessons, and I want to get the take from the other people who were watching the lessons. So, just so the people at home know, when we do a series of lessons, the other folks in the discussion group were also watching the lessons. So they've been together for the last couple hours, and when you're watching and Donna's going through something with someone else, and they're like, oh, that didn't sound like that inside my head. Like, I want to know what you guys were observing. Did you notice what did you notice as you were watching and someone else was having an experience of a first time feeling of that note? Emma, I'll start with you. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. I think so. Yeah, all of us had that experience of like we felt like we sounded a certain way, and that wasn't the case. And so it was really interesting to see how I remember how I had felt like I had felt like I was sounding like I was two different voices. And then whenever MaKayla had the same experience and watching her, I was like, oh, there's no way. I did not think at all that there was like an obvious shift in her voice. It sounded very smooth. And so it was really interesting to see other people experience feeling like there was a shift in their head and it wasn't exterior, it was all internal. So that was really interesting. It was. Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody else notice it while you were watching somebody else?
Well, I really looked out for it with Kolby because I noticed it with Emma. And then when it happened to me, I was like, I'm going to keep this in mind and I'm going to really look for this. And then it happened and I was like, oh my gosh, like it really was like, I was like, Kolby, I'm right there with you because I did the same exact thing. Like, I was like, there's no possible way, but it actually like sounded exactly the way that Donna was describing it. Yeah, once I actually was like, I'm really going to put my listening ears on for this one and I'm going to investigate this. Yeah, it made so much sense. Because also I was keeping in mind the notes that she was giving. And so, um, it just like really came together, really in a really interesting way. And yeah, I don't have much else to say that Emma didn't say really, but it was just really fascinating to watch that process.
I'm excited for all three of you to hear yours back because you're going to be like, oh. And this is something that Donna and I talk about all the time, especially in my lessons, is like the how much less effort you need to use than you think you do. And I always say to her, that's very unsatisfying, Donna, because I want it to feel like I'm working on it, and it doesn't have to. And the more that I do where I'm working less and less, actually the better it sounds and the more effortless it sounds. And like when you're watching somebody who you're just like is magical to watch, they're not working hard. The reason they're magical to watch is because it looks like they're doing nothing and you're like, how is that possible?
Mhm.
Right? And so I'm constantly like reminding myself, like, can you do this and make it look effortless? Can it be effortless actually instead of just making it look effortless? um, and so I think it's really interesting to have that experience. I've had that experience for how long have I been with you, Donna? 20 years this year. So I've
Something
been with
like
her for
that,
20
yeah.
years, and it's constant battle with yourself of being like, I want it to be more, but I shouldn't be more, but I want it to. So it's really fun. It was really fun for me to watch all of you have that experience because I was like, ha, Donna's tricky. I know what she's doing. Um, and then my other question for all of you, or for Donna, really, is two of our singers today are getting over colds and getting over sinus infections and things like that. What are the things that you recommend for people when they're recovering from a sickness? Whether, I mean, I've had long COVID for 2 years now, and luckily for me, it's been a weird struggle. It's just I just have to deal with it. But what are things that you do when people are actually having like a regular sinus infection? Like, do you suggest steaming, teas, anything like that?
Whatever the normal remedies that work for everybody. One thing that I always suggest that most people don't really know about is I do like steaming with sage. So if you get a boiling water over the stove, or if you have a steamer, put some sage in it. Just sage you get from the, the dry sage that you use in recipes. Put sage. Put a towel over your head. Inhale the sage. That can have a very soothing effect. Um, Sinus infection, of course, I like the idea of a neti pot or navage, or whatever you do with things like that. Just the normal stuff that you would do. If you have to sing, you can do it so that you sing. But in terms of remedies, whatever remedies work for you. If you don't have to sing, ideal. Just be quiet until it's all fixed, and then you go on from there. But if you're in school, if you're in a show, all of that, and you have to make it work, whatever these remedies do, it'll help you. Remember that the most important thing, as I said in each individual lesson, it's not going to feel the same. So let it not feel the same. Just let it feel weird. Don't try to overcompensate for something that's just not easy.
I've had many a lesson with you, Donna, where I'll be just kind of a little under the weather, and usually that's some of my better lessons because I'm not fighting myself. I'm just like whatever, huh? And then we go back to not having to work as hard as you need to, right?
Right. And you know what? In fact, that gave me, I wanted to ask you a question. When you, because lately we've been talking about this not working as hard in our lessons, and I've been asking you, so what percentage do you think you're actually giving in terms of when you're singing? And I just want everybody to hear the number.
17, 15%, not even 20%, not even 20%.
And
And
Nellie's
it's
got,
very unsatisfying.
yeah, and Nellie's got a big voice and it's a loud sound. And she's like, I'm only giving 15%, maybe.
I was on a walk this morning and I can't even remember what was playing. I was on a Peloton walk, so there was something playing and I was singing along with it. And I was super under my breath, so I thought. And a kid, like way down the lane, like turned around and was like, "Who is that?" And I was like, I didn't think you shouldn't have been able to hear me way down there. But sure enough, and I thought of you, Donna. I was like, that woman is sneaky. What about all of you? I mean, when you were in this particular lesson with Donna, what percentage of your full voice did you feel like you were giving? In the moments where you noticed, like, oh, that's not everything I had to give. Kolby, go for it.
I I didn't feel like I was giving much at all. I Like you said, it's very unsatisfying. I feel like the big belty moments the I should have to work for them, and I wasn't working at all, and it felt, other than to make sure that I didn't just shout. So it was very, very odd to feel like I wasn't working at it. So maybe 20%, maybe.
Yeah, but you're gonna go back and listen to it later, and you're gonna be like, oh, sí, pero it sounds like 89, 90%. Like it
When
sounds like a completely full voice sound.
Cool.
And I
So you
felt
can
the
trick
exact same
everyone.
way. I realized it progressively as the lesson was going on. Because I said I don't feel like I'm grounding myself into the sound, and now I realize after going through that and also taking in more of the lessons and the process that it was just I wasn't doing everything that I sometimes feel like I have to do, and that was kind of a foreign feeling to me. But then I realized it's just because I didn't have to, and it still sounded fine. I just didn't have to.
Totally.
I would say probably the same is said for me as well. I have been learning a lot more recently. Just you don't have to give so much whenever you're making musical theater music. And you really can't give that much, or you won't be able to go make it 8 shows a week. And so that's been something that's really been on the forefront of my mind this past semester. Has been like, I don't need to make so much sound because I'm going to be amplified, and also I need to be able to make it 8 shows a week. So
You made a
Also, I
very good
feel,
point.
yeah,
And
and I
very good point about being amplified that I was going to bring up. Yes, you're amplified.
I think that that's something that's really been important for us to learn in the time of self-tapes, right? How much do you have to give on a self-tape versus what you would normally give if you were on a stage is none, no more on a self-tape. And in fact, if you don't want to look like a crazy person, you kind of have to reel it in much more than you would. Otherwise you're like, that looks nuts. But I have a friend who I went to her house to help her with a self-tape a couple weeks ago, and she literally has 2 pieces of Scotch tape taped on her screen, like right there, to give her a focal point for her eyeballs. And she leaves her eyeballs there. Otherwise, she's looking all over the place because that's what you do when you're thinking, right? But when you're doing a self-tape, you really need to just have your eyes in one place, and she gets a good focal point and she doesn't really leave her eyes from there because otherwise you're going to look nuts. So it's the same type of thing vocally. And I think that we've learned it better now in this time because we actually can play back for ourselves immediately and be like, oh, no, I can't. That's bananas. I can't send that to anyone. Although I will say sometimes you get a bananas audition tape and you're like, is this person crazy or genius? I'm not sure.
True, true. Do any of you have any questions for me about something I did or something you saw in another lesson? And no is also an answer. That's fine.
Yeah, if you guys are.
It was just a great lesson to learn, and it was really fascinating that it seemed like the same lesson throughout each process. Was just that you do not have to give everything that you feel like you should have to get the sound that you want and to get the feeling that you want. So I mean, it was just, yeah, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say thank you. That was a great lesson for my voice, my vocal journey, and also just I think in life, sometimes you don't have to give everything, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, thank you so much. It was very interesting to not do everything to do the thing. Eloquently spoken.
Yeah, I also don't really I can't think of any questions. I think it's just I've been given a lot of um seeds to go and water now for throughout the rest of my training and everything. So thank you for all of your tidbits. I've really enjoyed it.
You are all welcome and thank you for participating. Thank you so much because again, as I've said in the individual lessons, it takes a lot of courage to just put yourself out there and say, all right, I don't know what's going to come out, but I'll give it a shot. Okay, fine. That's one of the things I have to say I love about musical theater people. I have to say in my teaching them over the years, they kind of seem to be the ones who are like, yeah, let's give it a shot. Okay, come on. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, I'll give it a try. So it's a great attitude. Wonderful. Thank you all. Thanks for watching Donna Reed Talks Voice. If you have any questions for me about this episode, or if you'd like to join me on a future episode, please visit donnareedtv.com and click Contact.